The Labour Party have given the pensioners in this country yet another slap in the face today with their new social care plans. If you look at the Labour Party's messaging, it sounds like they're about to take really strong action on this issue that has been a nightmare for this nation for so many years. They say, we are transforming social care. Thousands more people with disabilities to receive home adaptations, supporting older people to live independently, improved information for sharing between NHS staff. And Keir Starmer said this: the Tories have failed families and carers by neglecting adult social care. That ends now. With investment, my government will transform adult social care into a system that provides dignity for those who need it. No more sticking plasters. We will deliver our plan for change and create an NHS fit for the future. You know what? I think that tweet by Keir Starmer is an absolute lie, particularly the part of it that says that ends now, because do not be fooled by what the Labour Party have said on their social media today, folks, because their actual plan is to sit and twiddle their thumbs until the end of 2028 and tell us what they're going to do about social care in 2029, right before we have a general election, so they can say, please vote for us one more time, don't kick us out, because we've just spent the whole past government figuring out this plan, and it would be a great shame if it all went to waste. Please vote us in again. Right, so this is what is happening. They have launched an independent commission led by Baroness Casey, generally considered quite a competent individual, so that is the good news. But this commission is going to decide how we're going to transform social care, what are the problems and what needs to be done. But it won't make its final recommendations until the end of 2028. Yes, they're going to do absolutely bugger all about the horrible problems in social care that pensioners in this country, as well as having their heating allowance stripped from them, are having to deal with. Not enough support in social care. They're not going to decide what they're going to do until the end of 2028. The good news is we will have a first phase of the report in mid-2026, maybe there will be a few changes there, but from the looks of it, we are not going to get a plan for the future until the end of 2028. Okay, come the start of 2029, when we have those recommendations, do you think that the government is going to have the time to implement them when they're just gearing up to campaign for the general election, where they'll probably be fighting to death to try and actually get a second term in Parliament the way things are going? They are not going to have time whatsoever. It's going to be another one of those tricks where they wait right until the general election campaign to tell us their great plans, so that they can say, please vote for us, because if you vote us in, we'll do this. Okay? You really think the public are going to fall for that? Well, I tell you what, I am not thick, and I am not going to fall for it. It's a shame, really, because Wes Streeting was one of the few people in cabinet that I do actually have some time for, but I think this is pretty disappointing from them, especially after the pensioners had their winter fuel allowance stripped from them. It really does feel like they are being thrown under the bus, okay? And they're trying to spin it, as we've shown you on their social media, as if they are taking a load of positive action. There are some positive changes. So, for example, thousands more people with disabilities will receive money for home adaptations. So that is things, for example, like giving people money to put in place stair lifts and whatnot in their homes to make it easier for them to live without needing so many carers to, come and take care of them and carry them up the stairs, for example. That will happen in the short to medium term. There will be those small changes, but big proper change to social care, you're not going to see the plans for that until right before the general election. Pretty disappointing, to be honest. This is what Wes Streeting had to say. So he was asked by reporters whether they are kicking the reforms into the long grass, just saying, hang on, wait until it's nearly general election time and then we'll tell you what we're going to do. But this is what he had to say to that comment. He said, this government is determined to grip the crisis in social care, which is historic and has been decades in the making. That's why since the general election we have legislated for first ever fair pay agreements. We've delivered the biggest expansion of the carers allowance since the 1970s, and we're delivering big increases in social care funding, including specific funding for the disabled facilities grant, what I just mentioned regarding the stair lifts and whatnot being installed. He added, but there is more to do, and if we're going to break the cycle of failure after failure under different types of government, Labour, Lib Dem, Conservative, SNP, the best way to do that is an independent commission that brings political parties together. So we've got a plan, not just for the next few years, but a plan for the next 3 decades. Okay, all great saying that you want to think for the long term, but just a question, Wes Streeting. What were you doing when you were sat on the opposition benches for 14 years, okay? Why do we have to wait for you to get into government, for you to say, oh, we're going to have a look into what's gone wrong, set up this commission, and then decide in a few years' time what our plan is? Didn't you have 14 years of time to come up with a plan to solve the issues in social care whilst you guys were all sat on the opposition benches? It just feels like too little, too late, and a slap in the face to the pensioners of this country. And just to show you how out of touch he is, this is him being questioned on the news earlier about heating now that the winter fuel payment has been taken away from so many pensioners.
We've spoken to Age UK this morning in relation to this coming weekend, people who are cold in their homes. They've said there are 2.5 million people who needed the winter fuel allowance who won't receive it because of the changes that were brought in. They are saying they would be advising people, if they're cold in their homes and they're elderly and vulnerable, to go into debt rather than risk their health. Would you advise the same?
Well, this is definitely a weekend to turn the heating on.
So there we go. This is definitely a weekend to turn the heating on. That's what he has to say when you've got Age UK, a charity dealing with so many of the pensioners that are struggling with this winter, saying you might have to go into debt, and that's what you should do if you cannot afford to put the heating on. He just says, oh, well, it's a good weekend to put the heating on. Absolutely pathetic. And of course, he's on the news right after the Labour Party are under fire for refusing to do a government-led inquiry into the grooming gangs. And this is what he had to say. And listen for what he said about Elon Musk as well.
When it comes to tackling the serious issue of child sexual exploitation abuse, I do think that online giants, social media companies have got a big part to play in helping us to identify and prosecute perpetrators of child sexual exploitation and abuse. So whether it's Elon Musk or anyone else, if those leaders of those giants want to work with this government, we're willing to work with tech giants to make sure that we keep young people safe online and free from exploitation.
You don't think his comments are unhelpful?
This government takes the issue of child sexual exploitation incredibly seriously. We've seen harrowing reports and experiences of abuse of victims who've been brave enough to come forward and speak up about the appalling crimes that they've been subjected to. We've also seen those brave whistleblowers who've been willing to speak up, and frankly we've seen some shocking examples of how political correctness was able to get in the way of going after perpetrators of these serious crimes. We're not going to let that happen. This government is committed to implementing the recommendations of the inquiry into child sexual abuse. We will do that in full. We will get on with the job, and some of the criticisms that Elon Musk has made, I think, are misjudged and certainly misinformed.
Misjudged and certainly misinformed. There we go. That's what he has got to say about Elon Musk's comments. Okay, Elon Musk, he's not made any comments that are particularly detailed, but just voiced the frustrations that many people have said, which is that officials need to be held to account. Some of them may need to be even locked behind bars for their failures and their attempts to cover up what was going on with the grooming gangs. I think those are pretty reasonable comments to make, but Wes Streeting says those are misinformed comments.
But we're willing to work with Elon Musk, who I think has got a big role to play with his social media platform to help us and other countries to tackle this serious issue. So if he wants to work with us and roll his sleeves up, we'd welcome that.
There we go. Not very impressive from Wes Streeting. As I said, one of the few people in Cabinet that I did have some time for and thought was a decent bloke. But today I don't think is a good day for Wes Streeting. We've had another slap in the face to the pensioners in this country, saying we're not going to bother doing anything about social care until 2029, when we're just about to go into the general election. And then, of course, going on the news, really not grappling with the question about heating, just saying, oh, it's a good weekend to turn the heating on, and then really just sort of swerving the question about the grooming gangs and saying that Elon Musk is misinformed. I think he's misinformed, Wes Streeting, to be honest, by the looks of it. But let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of the Labour Party's new social care plans that they have put forward? Am I being too cynical? Maybe I am. You let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already.
Still watching? Well, I've got a quick ask for you. Recent UK, we're fighting the woke brigade and inspiring young Brits, but we need your help to go bigger. We're hosting a fundraiser and would love you to sign up and share the link on the big day. It's easy, it makes a massive impact, and there are prizes for top fundraisers. Click the Google form in the description to join us. Cheers very much. Let's keep going together.